Yeah. See, guys, these are the topics which are pending as part of SSIS, right? So let's discuss about creating a jobs today. Okay. So see, job is nothing but, so to create a job, you should have a SQL Server agent here in SQL Server. Once you connect to server, you can see there is an option called SQL Server agent. If it is not there, so you guys can just try to check it on the Google how to enable it. So you'll get some instructions. Based on that, you can enable it. Okay. And by default, if it is enabled, then that's fine. If it is not there, so try to check it in Google. And see, scheduler, see, jobs is nothing but scheduler, will call it as, right? So which is SQL Server scheduler, SQL Server agent. So SQL Server agent is used to create a jobs and run at specific time. Either that job maybe we can run SSIS package, or we can run any SQL statements, right? So and we have some other tools as well in market, like AutoSys we have, and Control M. There are few other jobs. Okay, job schedulers, we'll call it as a job schedulers. But for us, we have inbuilt SQL Server agent. It's a SQL Server scheduler, right? So if it is disabled by default, so you have to just right click and then start the service. Click on yes. Yes. So now it will turn on to green. So it is now it is red, right? So which means I have stopped the services, which means backgroundly the jobs will not run. See, in real time it will be enabled only. Why I disabled is because daily whatever the jobs which I have created earlier, so that will be running. So for that purpose, I just disabled it. And see, once you SQL Server agent is enabled, you just expand it. You can see a jobs option here, and by default, uh, jobs list will be zero for you. Why? Because you that's the first time you have added the SQL Server agent, and this is my previous jobs which I have created. So to create any job, you just need to right click and then click on a new job. Okay. Before that, so what are we going to call in job is, so we'll try to call one stored procedure. Okay. So before that, I will identify which stored procedure we want to use it over there. Okay, maybe I'll just use this one, incremental load stored procedure. Yeah. So this stored procedure I'm gonna use, I'll call it using a job. And why job means, see, sometimes your requirement is to run the stored procedure at particular in the 2 a.m. in the morning, right? So if you want to execute this stored procedure in the 2 a.m., you have to be online, right? So if you want to execute manually, instead of that, we can create a job and we can schedule it according to the time. Automatically, the job will execute the script, right? So for that purpose, we'll create a job, and for that, right click, create a new job, click on the new, and then give the job a name. But in real time, you have to give it your table name or something like that, the job names. If you observe the in your project what are the jobs they have created, you'll get to know, right? So for just for our knowledge, I'm just giving here October 2021 the job name as well. And then this is the naming convention and who is the owner. So if the owner is different, they'll give the owner name and all, right? So you just use that. And then steps, if you go to steps, you can see here only one option is enabled, which is new, right? So you need to add a step, click on new, and once you click on new, it will ask for the step name. So what I told you is, we are going to call a stored procedure, which is this one, right? So we'll just give the step name as the stored procedure name. Okay. Why? Because if any a new person also see this step name, they'll get to know, okay, this stored procedure is being called in this step, right? And here, once you are done with the step name, if you drop down the type here, you can see all these types it is allowed. So PowerShell scripts also it will allow a few other things. And for us, since we are running the SQL queries, the option is transact SQL script, which is TSQL, Okay, by default, this is the option. And if you want to execute any SSIS package from here, you have to choose this option, SQL Server Integration Services package. I'll tell you that one as well. So for now, I'm just choosing T-SQL, and my database is this one. So here in the command prompt, you just need to give your command. So what is your command? You want to execute a stored procedure, give that. Okay. So simple. The step name is the name which you, whatever the step you want to call here, give that. If it is a stored procedure, give the stored procedure name. If it is SSIS package, give the SSIS package name here. And then type, as I told you here, if you are running any SQL statement, use the T-SQL. If you are calling any SSIS package, use these two options. So rest all it is not useful for us. Okay. So T-SQL, see general tab is done, and then advanced tab I'll explain. So for now it's just leave it. Okay. And click on OK. See now, once you create a step, you can see the step name and then type, right? Whatever the options which you have selected here. And can you see here, there are two options. One is on success and the other one is on failure, right? So what it is saying, on success means if this step successfully executes, what I have to do. That is what on success means. On failure means if this step fails, what I need to do, right? So for on success, what is the option? It is selected by default. Go to next step, right? So do we have any other steps here other than the first step? We don't have it, right? So we just need to change this one. And on failure, quit the job reporting failure, which means if the job fails, quit the execution. That is what this meaning. So this is fine on failure, but we have to change on success also. So for that, double click on it and then go to advanced. You can see here on success action. By default, it is selected, go to next step, which means if this is successfully executed, then go to next step and run it. But we don't have the second step here, right? So what you need to do is expand it, and you can see these many options. Go to next step, quit the job reporting success, or quit the job reporting failure. So since it is on success action, if it is successful executes, come out of the execution. That is what this option means. Quit the job reporting success, which means once job successfully executes, it will come out of the execution. So that is what you need to change it and leave it as it is on failure. And retry items and then retry intervals is there. All right. So retry items is nothing but if any of the job fails, if you want to retry 2 times or 3 times, you have to increase it, right? And then retry interval is for how many minutes you want to retry it, right? So for now we don't need this option, so I'm just explaining this. There is this option as well. Okay, so retry items is, it means if any step fails, if you want to run repetitively, how many times you want to try it, so that is the one. And the retry interval is nothing but for every how many minutes you want to rerun this step. Okay, and click on OK. Now the steps part is done, and then we have created a step here which we'll call the stored procedure, but we did not disclose, I mean we did not create at what time we should execute the job, right? So that will do it in the schedules part here. So go to schedules, and then here you can see option called new. Click on that and then give the name. So I'll just give name as daily. So I want to run this job as daily, so that's why I'm giving the schedule name as daily, right? And schedule type. So if you scroll down and if you drop down it, you can see these options, right? So I'll just select recurring, which means every day I should run it. Recurring means continuously, right? So I'll just choose recurring, or if it is one time you want to run it, you can choose one time. All right. So according to your selection, here the options will be changed. So I just want to choose recurring, which means all the times it should be running based on my schedule times. And here you can see occurs, right? Occurs means by default it is weekly. So we can also run every month once or every week once or daily. So I'll just select daily. So I want to run daily this job, right? Or if you have a requirement to run only weekly ones, you can choose weekly and then choose the options accordingly. I'll tell you for daily. Okay, so mostly in the real time we'll do a daily jobs or monthly jobs, monthly ones. Mostly we'll do daily jobs. Okay, so choose daily and then recurs every, by default it is 1 day, so which means daily you want to execute only once, or if you want to execute twice, use it, two, or if you want to execute only once in a day, use one. By default it is one only. And then daily frequency option is there right here, occurs once at, so here we need to choose our time, at what time we have to execute this job, right? So now it is 6:44, right? 18:44. I'll just try to execute it at 18:47. Okay, exactly after 3 minutes from now. So I'm just giving 18:47, and these are the options I want to give it. So once you provide all the options, can you read out here description what it says? Occurs every day at 6:47. Schedule will be used starting on 7/11, which is today, right? So which means daily it will execute the job at 6:47, right? And then click on OK. So if you want to use it monthly, you can choose monthly and then choose the timings accordingly. Okay, and if you want to change, see, you have created a job today, and if you want to execute from tomorrow, you can just change the date. Okay, by default it will be today's date. If you want to change the date, you can select it, whatever the date you wanna start executing the job, right? So click on OK. This is the schedule, and you can see description here, occurs every day at something, right? And rest all leave it. It is not useful, right? So you just need to consider the general type, which is the naming conventions, and then who is the owner of it, and mean which server or who is the owner, and the steps, what exactly you need to execute, and then schedules, right? So click on OK. The job will exactly start at 16:47, but before that, let me check my destination table data. Okay, how many records are there? So this stored procedure we are running it, right? So let's start from, I have 17 rows. Okay, and then here, is there any records from the source? 24 are there, right? Which are not exist. We'll see. If not, we'll load one. Okay. See what exactly the operation is performing here. We are doing incremental load, which means if the source is having any records which are not there on the destination, only those records will get inserted. We'll see if it is none of the records is loading into destination. We'll try to insert one which is not there on the destination, and again we'll run the job. So now it is 16:47. So refresh, expand it. October 2021, right? So how to check whether the job is executed or not? So if you right click and click on properties, whatever we have created, that will be, that information you can see it, but how to check whether it ran for today or not, right? So either you can right click, or you can do right click and then view history here. There is an option called view history. Click on that. See here, you can see at what time the step is executed. So today 18:47, right? And if we go to here description, the job succeeded, the job was invoked, something, the last step once on this one, right? So if you expand it, you can see whether the step is successfully executed or not. Okay, so which means the job has been executed at particular time, and then let's check any records are inserted or not. As of now 18 records only, right? Which means there is no record in the source which is not there on the destination. So what we have to do is we need to insert one row, the employee ID, which is not there in the destination. So this is our destination records, right? So we'll try to insert one record which is not there here. Okay, maybe I'll just insert 1112. Okay, in this source table, and then we'll see. insert into table name, values. It has to insert one row if I execute the stored procedure, right? So now also stored procedure got executed. Since there is no data which is not there on the source, that's why it did not insert into the destination, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just inserting one record which is not there on the destination. Now it should, once we execute a stored procedure again, it should insert that record. So employee ID 1122 and then employee name from ASD and then employee age 30. I think these are the three fields we have it in the employee table. All right. So one record is inserted. Now what I'll do is, see, for today the job has been executed, right? But we had given a job to execute only once in a day, which is at 6:47, right? So if you want to execute manually again, how you need to do is right click and then you can see here start job at step option, right? So click on that, it will execute. So if there are multiple steps, it will ask you which step you want to execute. See here, it runs successfully. So if you want to run manually, other than the scheduled time, you just need to right click and then click on the start job at step, right? So now job has run twice, you can see it. So this is the first run, this is the second run at 1850. Okay. So now let's check in our destination whether that record which we have inserted has been loaded into the destination or not. All right. So can you see 19 now? It is the record 1122. Yeah, here 1122 ASD. Right. So according to the stored procedure code, the data has been inserted, and yeah, at a specified time we can execute the job. Any questions, guys?
Hello, Amar. I have one small doubt. Hello, so as you said, the job can be operated at the required time. So, for example, as you said, at 2 o'clock, I want to execute that. So at that time, I am not maybe I am not available at the system, and it is switch.
Sorry.
Operate that one without our involvement also.
That is what the job, right? See, 6:47 we have executed the first time, right?
That means what I am saying.
Yeah,
no, my doubt is we are not so what our laptop is not in on condition at that time.
See here in your laptop, it won't be executed. It will be executed on the server, right, in real time. So DBS will be continuously monitoring your servers. You don't need to worry on that.
Okay.
So even though your laptop is not working, the jobs will be running. Don't worry. You don't need to be turn it on your laptop. If you shut down also, it will work.
Okay, thank you.
Point, right?
That's it.
Yeah, even in your laptop also.
Yeah, I got.
Yeah, if you shut down also, it will run.
Yeah, I have. I guess that, but I want to clarify on that.
Yeah. Got it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is how you need to execute SQL related queries, right? So I have showed you how to execute SQL queries, either stored procedure, or if you want to execute any other normal directly SQL statement also, you can execute here with the SQL command. So here we have a lot of text space, right? You can create your own script and then you can execute. Now what I'm going to do is, now we'll try to execute SSIS package from there. Okay. So I'm going to execute which option? So maybe let me execute this one for each loop container. I'll enable this. Okay. We'll copy the source files over there in the source folder. Files has to be in the source folder, right? So now it is in archive. So let me copy paste it here so that it has to load data from here and then it should move it to archive folder, right? So that is what the SSIS package is doing here, this one, the particular container, right? So now I'm going to call this package over there. Okay. So open the job, double click on it or right click and then go to properties, then go to steps. Either you can create a new job or you can call this package in within the same job as well by adding one more step. Got it, right? So if there is a requirement like to create a separate job for the package, you can create a separate job, or at the same time if you want to execute along with the other scripts, you can use the existing job itself, right? So open the job, go to steps, and then you can add one more step here. So now it is one step, right? So if you click on new, we can add one more step. So the step name, we have to use it as my package name. So which is this one, control flow tasks, step name. And then here type, since we are executing here SSIS package, choose SQL Server Integration Services package. So once you select, you can see here a lot of options got changed and package source is there. So SSIS catalog, wherever you have deployed the package, right? I told you deployment methods, catalog and then SQL Server file system, right? So wherever you have deployed your package, there you can browse it, right? So I'll just choose here file system. Why? Because my package is in file system. If it is in SQL Server, you have to choose SQL Server and provide the server name, right? So I'll choose file system since my deployment is file system, right? So this is where the deployment concept will be useful. So wherever you have deployed your package, you need to browse it, that path. So browse, and then SSIS. My package is saved here, control for task. I'll just choose that, right? And then here you can see configurations. Configuration option is there, right? So if you have a configuration file, you can just add it. We have discussed about the configuration, right? So if you have created a package configuration for that, you can utilize it. So for now, since this is our local server, it is not required. If you are running in UAT or some other server, you have to use the configuration file here. There is an option called configurations. And if you go to here data sources, you can see what are the data sources which you are worked in that package, right? So see, we have three configuration, connection managers, and the three you can see it here. Okay. And then rest all options is not useful, and click on OK. And then see here, now two steps are there. So what exactly we need to change here, guys? Is it okay? Can you observe and then tell me where exactly we need to do the change? Any options do we need to change here?
On success.
On success for which one we need to change and what we need to change? On success for which step?
Step 2.
Step 2 we need to make it as
Success.
with the job reporting success
Yeah, with the job reporting success.
here, right?
Yes, but we run the job, both the steps will be executed, right?
No, that's what my doubt is, that one, whether it will execute or not.
We need to change that first step also. Whether not to run that first step, yeah. If we need to run only second step, we need to make this step 1 as idle something if we have an option.
No, I want to execute both the steps. So what are the things I need to change it?
Then we need to make that first step as go to the next step option.
Yeah, correct.
And
So-
second step as quit the job reporting success.
Yeah. On failure also, you can make go to next step if there is no dependency between these two tasks. Whatever you told, that is correct. And even on failure also, if there is no dependency between the first step and then second step, you can also make on failure also go to next step. If there is a
And
dependency,
if
you can just quit the
yeah,
job.
if the job fails, where we can see the error here?
In the view history,
View history.
I showed
Okay.
you, right? Beginning, right click and then view history, the success one. I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's shown there. Success.
Success. So if it fails, you can see the failure also over there.
Okay.
Okay, for this first step, I'm just giving on success, go to next step. And then for the second step, on success, we should select quit the job reporting, success. Quit the job reporting, success. And if it success, if you want to run it again, first step, see there is an option here. Go to step 1, right? So that also you can choose it. Click on OK. Right? So now first this step will execute. On success, this step will get executed. Once it is successful, it will quit the job reporting, success. Okay. And if you want to send out an email, you can add one more step here and you can configure that email part here in the step. If any job fails, if you want to send out an email, you can configure that, or you can call an SSIS package which will send out an email, right? That also you can do it. So, and then schedules I need to change it now. So why? Because I want to run at different times. So what you need to do is you just need to open this and change the schedule time. Okay. So now I'll just give 19:02, 2 minutes from now. Okay, it should execute. Click on OK. Right. So see here, you need to check whether the job is successfully executed or not. See now it is green tick mark, right? So if fails, it will be red color. This is where you can see it. And error message also you can see here only. If you click on it, you can see if it is success message. If it fails, we can see the failure message here itself. Okay. As of now, the job did not started. It will start at 19:02, and the first step anyhow we have observed earlier. The second step is what we are doing here. We are looping source files here and we should load the data. Once we load the data, the file should move to the archive folder here, right? So here also let us delete. So we have a files in the source folder and it has to load this file data and the file should move to here. So let's observe that once the job executes. After jobs, we have these many concepts pending. So yeah, we'll discuss about that as well. Maybe instead of observing the data, we can observe the file system, right? That will be enough. The files should move to archive folder once the job executes, fine. It's 19:02. Right click and then view history on October 2021. It got failed, right? So go and check it. The first step ran successfully. Second step it got failed. Why it is failing? Let's observe. This is the error message. The simple mail time is not specified. I think we have used here. You can see there were errors during task validation and blah blah. What it is saying? Not specified validation IP address. Send mail task. See here.
Yeah, send mail. Already we have error in that.
Right. So we should change that. I think in the event handlers. Right. So go to event handler. Then check the executables. Did we use any event handlers tab here? I think this one we need to disable, right? Okay, disable it, save it, and then if you want to run again, we can run it. So I think the files are executed, right? You can see it, the files are moved, but again it got failed when it executing this task, right? So now we disabled it, and this task ran fine. It got failed only while executing the send mail task, right? So if you want to make that change and if you want to do it again, so copy the source files and paste it in the source folder and you can run it again just to double check. So as of now it ran fine. for this container and it got failed at send mail task. Why? Because it was enabled and we did not configure it, right? So to re-execute again, right click, start job at step. See here it is asking if it is there, couple of steps are there, it will ask which step you want to execute, right? So I'll just choose the second step, which means it will execute only the second step. So click on start. The job is executing only the second step. It got succeeded now. So right click and then view history. See, it got successfully executed now. And let's verify the files are moved to the archive folder or not. Files is not there here. And why it is not loaded? Why? Because we have chosen .txt file. That is the reason why Excel file did not loaded. And you can see the files in the archive folder, right? So that is how the SQL agent works. So if you are not there also, at what time you will schedule it, it will execute automatically whatever the commands which you have provided in the job, right? And there are some other third-party schedulers are there. I don't know which steps which will they utilize in the project. So maybe you can say I have experience only in SQL Server agent. If interviewer asks which scheduler you have used, you can just tell SQL Server agent. Okay. I have disabled again my services, so it is now into red mark. Now what happens if I disable it? The jobs will not be running until unless I enable the server, right? So in real time, it will be continuously running. Why? Because the DBS will be handling these things. Okay, and in the development server, you will get access to create a job, but in UAT and production, you won't get, and you need to provide the instructions. Okay. Any questions, guys?
Amar, in order to run the both steps, how to select those two steps at a time?
You have to just choose the first step, and then first step successfully execute, second step will run.
For the second step, we need to go for the second step after success of first one. So on failure also, we need to give as go to the next step, right? So that is also same procedure, right? By clicking on double click on that and then
Yeah.
choosing.
If you want to change on failure also for the first step, you can just change it to go to next step. If there is no dependency between the two. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
There are no doubt, then guys, I'll send you link again. Join.
స్టోరేజ్ అన్ని తీసుకురా అనే పైన ఆధార్ అవన్నీ ఒకటే ఒక నేర్చుకుని అన్ని అదే రాసుకునేది